All right, welcome to another episode of Out from the Cube. It's our WhY Wednesday with Coach JaYson Wells. JaYson, appreciate your time on this Wednesday. Getting re-plugged in with you. There was a couple weeks where we went without, or with, I'm going to say this, and you're going to correct me on it, but a couple weeks where I went without you and found myself kind of in a ditch, kind of mentally and mindset and knocking things out. And again, for people that listen to the podcast, second quarter, don't look at your year as 52 weeks, 300 and however many days and 12 months and all that, but really chunk it up into, I chunk it up into quarters to create momentum and excitement and focus and all that. But it is, it's been a great year so far, but this quarter, we're in the second month of this quarter. And I think it's, we only got another month to go. It's going to be a great month. So it's great to be reconnected with JaYson. I want to jump right into it, JaYson. I haven't thought about how to ask this, so I may not ask it correctly. Your obsessions, the things that you are most obsessed with, is it easy for those obsessions to be distractions for you when you are not engaged in your obsession? Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. The thing, I'm going to say it again because I'm going to say it exactly the same way. I'm going to say it slower. Your obsession, the thing that juices you up the most, the things that you are most obsessed with in your life.
Okay.
Is it easy to be distracted by them? Easy to be distracted by your obsessions when you are not engaged in your obsessions, in them?
So I would say yes.
Right. I would say that too. So here's where I'm getting to. Is it easy? So if you're not engaged in your obsessions, do you find your mind just always going to your obsessions? Like, man, about like leadership or teams or a relationship or your lady, right? And we talked about, right? Like all that, like the things that you're purposeful, like when you're not engaged in it, are you easily obsessed by it? Or are you, when you are engaged in your obsessions, is it difficult to get your mind off of it? Like, are you distracted by other things when you are immersed in your obsessions?
Yeah. Right. So what comes to mind is, you hear these people talking about when you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. So
for me, I really don't have an off switch when it comes to quote unquote work. So, but I'm one of those people who I enjoy what I do, and what I do fuels me. So I'm not looking forward to a Friday or hating a Sunday night or a Monday morning because now all of a sudden I have to disattach from, from who I am or who I want to be, because now I have to go back into this Monday through Friday, JaYson.
Right.
We talked about last episode. We talked about this event we had last week, and I made reference to being Instagram JaYson. So right now we have all of these different identities that we present ourselves as. And, one of my favorite lines in a Drake song is, it's real when you are who you think you are. It's real when you are who you think you are. And so, we live in these fantasy worlds that we create and that technology has allowed us to create and that society has almost expected us to create. And at the end of the day, that's so much not who we are. And so my whole thing in this, on my journey of purpose, is to be a mirror. These are all just different things that have come across my plate. To be a mirror, to be a door, to be a guide, to be someone that someone else can look at me and see, oh, he's pretty authentic. Oh, he's pretty vulnerable. Oh, you said it last episode. He's pretty purpose driven, and none of those things come anywhere close to being perfection. None of those things come anywhere close to being like never having a bad day or a bad period or a bad point of life or making not a great decision, or like none of those things equal that. But all of those things, like, this is when I've said this since I was super young, so as early as I can remember, I've always felt like, and I say this in the most humble way, but I feel like anybody that can say, I don't like JaYson, they really don't know me. Or they just really choose not to like me, because like I'm gonna give you who I am no matter what. And who I am is I'm constantly on a pursuit to get better. I'm constantly on a pursuit to improve and grow and develop and do things differently than I have in the past. But you're gonna get me. You're gonna get me on a Wednesday afternoon. You're gonna get me on a Friday night. You're gonna get me whether we're having a drink, whether we're having tea, whatever. That's who you're gonna get. And just know that who you get the next time is going to probably be different in a better way.
Mm. So I didn't say this as well. I said it how I was thinking about it, my initial question. But let me, and I found it here in my notebook, and I really want to understand. We talked in our last episode about purpose was kind of the theme, and purpose-driven versus kind of purpose-aware, and being really locked in. And I tell you what, that phrase "locked in" I've stolen from you, and I use it every day.
I stole it from PGC.
I use the phrase "locked in" every single day. I use it with my children. I use it with myself. I use it with clients. I use it with the teams I work with. And what locked in to me is right here, laser focus. Can you put, here's a quote in my notebook. Can you put laser focus over an extended period of time? Can you put laser focus? Can you be locked in on your purpose over an extended period of time? So here's what I was trying to say, and I didn't do a good job at the start of this, but it was kind of how I was thinking about it. It's your obsession when it easily distracts you. It is not your obsession if life distracts you. Right? So if you're sitting there working and you get distracted easily, it's not your obsession. But if you're locked in on your purpose, your obsession, and life never distracts you from it, that's your obsession. That's your purpose.
Yeah.
But if it's your obsession, if it distracts you easily, right? If I'm working on life and my purpose and my obsession is always distracting me, then I know I'm locked in on the right things. And that's kind of what I was doing. This idea of just being distracted and not being able to be locked in on purpose or goals or mission or vision. I'll tell you, man, I get distracted easily. I get distracted off of my purpose easily. Does that kind of make more sense when I phrased it that way?
Yeah. So like, again, you know how I am about words. And so what's coming to mind right now is just think about the word that you're using when you say obsession. Mm-hmm. Most people are discouraged by that word because most people don't live in a place where obsessed is a positive quality trait. They look at obsession as negative. And being part of the 1% of athlete that has become professional and been paid to play, you don't reach that level without some type of, like, I was obsessed. I was obsessed towards getting better. I was obsessed towards development and growth on the basketball court that allowed me. And some people think that they are. And I wrote a tweet yesterday. People have absolutely no idea how good you have to be not very good as a pro.
That's great. That's great. Say that again. That's really good.
People have no idea how good you have to be not very good as a pro. So, you hear these people talk about the kids on Duke's team that don't play any minutes because they have five-star recruits, or the guys that made NBA teams that don't play, or maybe even don't even suit up all the games because they're bouncing back and forth between a two-way contract between the D-League and the NBA. Like, and they talk about those people. Oh, such and such is in the game. Like, you have absolutely no idea how good that guy is. Like, he is the best basketball player that you will ever see. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, people have no idea. And so when you talk about words like obsession, I relate obsession to passion. Most people are not, they're thrown off by that word passion. They're either attracted to it or they're appalled by it. Mm. Because so few people live in a place of true passion that it's either appalling to you that someone else is living that way because you aspire to live that way, or you don't know what it's like to live that way, or you're aspired, oh yeah, I recognize the passion in a LeBron James or a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan or Oprah Winfrey or Steve Jobs, and I'm attracted to it because I wish I was living that way. But most people live one of the two. You're either attracted to it or you're appalled by it. And I think the same about obsession.
So this just popped into my head as you were talking about this. And when I used to do more public speaking, at some point I would ask this question, and I've never asked you this, I don't believe, and I'm not sure I will ask it correctly. So, but I think you'll get my point. If you were one skill away from getting everything that you wanted, and I used to say making $1 million, whatever it is, right? And that may not be your mission or vision or purpose, but let's just say whatever is in your mind you want to achieve. It may be Coach Jay speaking in front of 10,000 people at a TEDx conference. It may be making $2 million a year on a speaking circuit, or, having a house in Laguna Beach, whatever it might be, right? If I were to tell you you are one skill away from doing that, one skill that you got to refine, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but do you know what that skill would be offhand? I'm not asking you to say it. What is stopping you from doing that if you were one skill away?
I don't even know if mine would necessarily be a skill or something physical. I think for me, mine would be a knowledge of what to do or how to do what to do. Like right now, I'm just in this place of, I don't necessarily know how to navigate to know what's the platform to propel me to this next level. So that's why the people that I'm aligning myself with, I'm aligning with the desire to learn, what that next step is. But from a skill standpoint, on top of actually obviously getting better at it and making the skills better. But
right, so that's
I actually believe from a skill standpoint, I'm good. It's just a knowledge and a how to more than anything.
Yeah. So, my point is this, is when I would ask that question to some of the groups I would work with, if you were one skill away from reaching your dreams, what would that one skill be? And just kind of be thinking about it, just to get the group thinking about it. I don't think I ever called anybody out on it. And I got
one for you.
Yeah.
I got one for you. My college point guard, 6'5", left-handed, phenomenal guy, phenomenal player. Handled the ball, smooth, did everything. Was one skill away from legitimately making an NBA team. And that skill was the ability to knock down a consistent jump shot, to be able to stretch the defense so they couldn't just Rajon Rondo off of him, or Ben Simmons. So he was Ben Simmons 20 years ago. Not 6'10", but 6'5", left-handed, create for everybody, just couldn't hit a jump shot.
So
consistently. And for me, I always said if I was him, I would literally lock myself in a gym and shoot nothing but jump shots and make the Indiana Pacers team or some other team. But he had different agendas.
Yeah. So the point is this, of all this, and I actually really appreciate that. Simply because I do think that and let me get back to this idea of being locked in, of being focused, of being obsessed and passionate, and one skill away from reaching your dreams. Somebody I used to listen to a lot, and I don't as much, just because I'm now consuming a lot of content from a number of other people. But Tim Ferriss would say you can master any skill in a year, like be a master, right? But it starts with obsession, of prioritization, of complete and absolute being locked in on that skill.
Yep.
Right, to Jason's point of, hey, like you've got the whole package. You're like at a C- or a D+ at this. But if that were an A+, then the dreams, goals, aspirations that you have for your life can be realized.
Yep.
Right. And I think we're all like that. I do believe that. Like, so everybody listening, just like be total, like vulnerable with yourself. Sit there and say, man, what do I want? What is my purpose? Where am I going? What would I like to achieve? The impact I would like to have, and how, and all that. And I'm one skill away from that. Right. To JaYson, it's just being, more locked in on what's available to him on these platforms, right? His story's great. He's articulate. He's got a presence to him. His connection to the audience, to people, to whatever it is at an A. Like, all that's an A+ for Coach JaYson. All of it, right? My perspective, right? But maybe, and this might not be the right word to use, maybe his resources, the resources that are available to him to unlock certain things. Right, to know the avenues and the roads to go down. Maybe that's his thing, right? So it comes back to your obsession, your passion, and being locked in, because you can master any skill if you put in that being locked in or that focus. And so I guess the start of this podcast, or I guess we're 15 minutes in, I believe that, and I believe that the dreams that we have, the things we would like to do and become, and the impact we'd like to have, if we can just be A+ at one skill, I think if we, would you subscribe to that? Because I could be talked off that ledge. I could be taught. It's probably, in baseball, they talk about a 5-tool player. I can hit, I can field, I can hit for power, I can throw, I can run, all that sort of stuff. Like, if A+, man, we're good at all of that, right? JaYson, I think, is a 5-tool player, but he would see himself like, what, if I were better at this, then I could reach my dreams and goals. And I'm just encouraging us to be vulnerable to ourselves and say, man, I've got to get a lot better at this. And why do I bring that up? Well, one, because it's in my notes here about distraction and obsession and about being locked in. But I came away, I'm working with a client right now. And I was completely vulnerable with myself on the drive home from this client. And I said this to myself: I really want to impact this client. I really want them to be in a good spot. I want them to be better than when I leave than when I came. I want them to reach their objectives. If I could be better at this one particular thing, I think I could help them. I could help them reach that objective. But more so, I said, now if I'm an expert at this, then I think I can impact 100 clients. I think I could have that sort of impact on 100 clients. And so I've actually spent the past 3 or 4 days carving out time in my schedule where I can be locked in on that one skill. Because I essentially said this: this is for those that are technical. If I were an expert at, if I were an expert at one particular thing technically, which is like a tool that we use, it's a very elaborate, detailed tool that most of our clients, if not all of our clients, use. And I said, if I could be an expert at that, I think I impact this client in this way, but more so, I think I impact 100 clients this way. So I know that's a long story, but I wonder how I'm encouraging. I'm not going to say I wonder how many of you think that way. I'm encouraging all of us to think that way. Like, what are we missing? What am I not as great at that I can have more impact?
So, and I was writing down different things that I wanted to make sure that I touched on before, as you were talking. First thing you mentioned, what you said, I encourage people to be vulnerable enough to admit. And I can't remember exactly what you said, but I know it started off with, I encourage people to be vulnerable enough. Do you remember?
Yep.
So that to me is one of our challenges with society right now, is how can you be vulnerable if you're inauthentic to yourself? Very tough to be vulnerable if I don't even know who I am enough to be vulnerable. Like, those two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Authenticity goes hand in hand with vulnerability, and vulnerability goes hand in hand with authenticity. And I feel like because we live in a world of such inauthenticity, that makes vulnerability extremely difficult.
Yeah, that's this
So
perfect.
to ask someone to do it sounds good, but it goes back to how.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing that you were talking about when you said, the expert, and I know Tim Ferriss, I've read the 4-Hour Work Week, and I know he's a big proponent of the 10,000 hours deal with, I think that's Eckhart Tolle. Is that him with 10,000 hours, whatever?
Yeah.
So
Outliers.
I feel like that whole thing ebbs and flows, George. I feel like, yes, some things you need to be totally a master at. And I also believe that your ability to be that 5-tool player on a baseball field that you're talking about is going to add to your value. So one of the things that I tell my athletes during my PGC sessions is versatility adds value. Like, your ability to be able to do multiple things is going to, I feel, is going to eventually add value to who you are. So now if coach can put somebody else in the game and not have to take you out because he can slide you over to another position, ultimately you've created value for yourself. However, if you're only like,
yep, I got you.
JJ Redick is a shooter. He's not a defender. He's not a slasher. So when something comes about where we don't necessarily need shooting, I mean, that's probably a tough goal, a tough ask, because shooting is always, so important. But if you can only do one, here we go, Andre Roberson for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's been hurt for the last couple of years, but he's one of those guys that has been known as a lockdown perimeter defender or a lockdown defender. But he couldn't hit the side of a barn standing on a farm, when it comes to a shot. Yep. So, we need buckets. I have to take him out of the game. As good as he is on defense, I have to take him out of the game because he's such a liability on the offensive end. So now, yes, I have this specialty, but now my versatility shuts me down. And so, I look at myself as a Swiss Army knife. Sometimes it may be the cutters. Sometimes it may be something that clamps on to something. Sometimes it may be something that, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. So, but I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's good to go an inch deep and a mile wide. And sometimes it's good to go an inch wide and a mile deep. And I think that goes back to self-awareness, authenticity, and vulnerability of knowing who you are and where you can be best in these situations. And I think it just ebbs and flows. Like, what comes to mind is like a seesaw or a teeter-totter. So often we look for balance. And when I think balance, I think 50-50, and very rarely does life work 50-50. So opposed to balance, I don't search for balance, I search for harmony. So instead of it looking for a 50-50 balance, you realize that sometimes the harmony of my life may be I'm crushing my job and I'm giving 80% of my attention to my job and 20% of my attention to my family for this period of time. And now the harmony of it is it's also going to ebb and flow. And in 2 months or 3 months or whatever the time period is, now I'm giving 80% to my family and 20% to my job. So I think harmony is better than balance. And that's kind of what I think about. I think sometimes you need to be an expert. Sometimes you need to be a jack of all trades.
So I like that. I really like that. I think that is all of us that are in the profession, I know half of our audience is in the technical scope, but I know that we get a number of people because of the team talk that we do. And but that idea, even technically, or working in a cubicle of, it's kind of this T-shaped thing that we've talked about, being really deep at a skill where you're JJ Redick and can shoot the basketball and that's what everybody knows you for, or the kind of the wide part of the T where you've got a depth of knowledge amongst a lot of things. So the coach can say, hey, I can leave him out there because he can shoot, he can rebound, he can defend, he can pass, he can handle, right? And he knows his role. right? As opposed to, and that is professionally, right? Now the thing would be is to be that 5-tool player where you are just, but those are the superstars, right? That's LeBron James. He's got to play the whole time because he's great at everything.
Yeah.
I heard this week, and I really liked it. And I put it in my LinkedIn notes for those that are interested. I put out LinkedIn notes every week or so. I really like this. You are paid proportionately to the problems that you can solve. So if you want to make money and you're interested in profit and you're talking about your income and you want to make more money, solve bigger problems. And I really liked that. And the reason why, we're talking about a number of things right with this episode: distraction and obsession and passion. But what JaYson has me really thinking about is, I'm looking at my notes here. Massive amount of money versus massive impact. And that came from Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, who are talking about creating content, essentially. They were talking about the power of self-education and getting immersed and being a reporter of success. And I think that's what JaYson and I are doing, actually. When I heard that phrase, being a reporter of success, I actually thought of JaYson. I think JaYson has made this comment a number of times, that JaYson and I listen to the same thing. It's just different stories, same subject, same context, just said a different way, and nobody's kind of inventing the stuff. But we're just being a reporter of what we're consuming. And that's kind of what we're doing with our podcast. But Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi asked this question: would you rather have a massive amount of money, or would you rather have a massive impact? And their statement is this: why can't you have both?
Yeah.
Why can't you have both? And then that just has me thinking about that subject of, or the phrasing of, if you want to make money, you want to make more money, you are paid proportionally to the problems that you can solve. I think that if I were to go work with certain clients that have big problems, that might be out of my scope, right? It might be out of my scope. But I'm paid proportionally to the problems I can solve for clients. But it has me thinking about this 5-tool player. What kind of problems can LeBron James solve?
A lot.
I think he can solve a lot of problems, man.
Yeah. He can also cause some too. But George, think about this. So one thing, actually two things.
Yep.
I say this in a comedic way, or I have said this in a comedic way, but I'm 100% serious when I say it. So I tell people all the time, I'm not excellent at anything, but I'm very good at everything. I used to say, that was how I talked about my basketball game. I'm not excellent at anything, but I'm very good at everything. So, no, I'm not a knockdown shooter, but you're not going to leave me open. No, I'm not going to razzle-dazzle you with my ball handling skills, but you're not going to take the ball from me. No, I'm not a lockdown defender, but you're not going to score 30 points consistently. You know what I mean? None of I'm not excellent at anything, but I'm very good at everything. And so that approach. And then what you said about what Dean and Tony said about impact or money, that is what we've told ourselves in society, that either you work this job that you hate and you make a lot of money, or you live your passion and you live like a starving artist and you make no money. That's what we've been told. And my question has always been, why can't I?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be Warren Buffett where I'm worth 86 billion. I don't want to be that, but I do want to be at a point where I am financially free, where I am not worried about my finances, to where I can go on vacation and shop where I want and eat where I want and do these and give how I want from a philanthropic standpoint. I want to do all those things, and I know my amount of money. But who says that I can't have both? Right. But that's the mentality that society has put on us, is that we feel like either I got to work this job that I hate, or work with these people that I hate, or an industry that I hate to be able to buy a car and a TV and a purse or a bag if I'm a lady, or I got to be a starving artist that is doing exactly what I love, and I'm struggling to pay the rent every month. Mm. And I'm not talking about for a moment of time while you're building your business. I'm talking about consistently.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the corporate world, if you want more responsibility, and I like that phrase, and it's just something I said a while ago. It wasn't about the corporate ladder or the parking spot or the car or the vacations or the title or anything like that. To me, it was about responsibility. Yeah. Like I've said this before, maybe it gets me into a little bit of trouble. Like I'm not too, I'm 46, I'm not too wrapped up in titles and possessions and, even raises and things like that. It's nice to get a raise and all that. I'm not dismissing that. But I'm into like impact and contribution and my own personal growth and things like that. That is, I think people in your 20s and 30s, all that other stuff is really important. I think when you get to a certain age, you're just like, man, I just want to contribute, be valuable and all that. But I think I heard this as well this week. We're kind of all over the place with some of these thoughts, and I think that's fine. Here, three phrases, three things I wrote down in my notebook that are all kind of lockstep a little bit. Our biggest opportunities are against our biggest problems. Our biggest opportunities are when we're up against our biggest problems. And I'm going to piggyback on this. Is not written down, but I wrote down in one of my notes this idea of, man, I'm searching for problems. I'm searching for them because I know that's where growth happens. And I know that's where I get better. Right. And it's hard, man. Is it hard? Now I'm off on a rant here. It's hard to see that when you go through those problems. Listen, if you listen to our last episode, I've been struggling with some things. I feel like I let some people down in my life. I let myself down in my life. And I'm sitting there and it's been 2 weeks. I'm still kind of beating myself up about this crap. I still am. But man, I think my improvement that I'm going to have within those mistakes and with those errors, if I'm humble, if I'm vulnerable, if I'm introspective, and if I'm true to myself, I think I'll come out on the other side a better person, a better coach, a better employee, better for my clients, better for my lady, as I think we said. Like, I'll be better in all that shit, right? And I think I've got to be excited about that. But man, it's hard to be excited about that stuff when it happens. Biggest opportunity, the biggest sense for self-improvement is when you're up against your biggest problems.
Yeah.
And maybe, man, is it, JaYson, let me ask you this. Now, I only got through one point, and I'm excited about this. Do you, like you said something about you and your lady that you went through a hard time back in February.
Yep.
You told me that. Let me ask you this. I haven't asked you this about that. Is your relationship better right now than it was in February?
Oh, man, without a doubt.
Like better, right? Like you guys are closer, tighter, more connected, all that sort of stuff. Maybe because of that issue?
Absolutely.
Man. Right? Is it because you're connected with her, you trust her, you love her, you look up to her, you admire her, you understand the purpose that you have in each other's lives?
All of that. And it stems from a part of, again, I wrote this in my journal, and this is just applicable. It said, in order for you to grow, sometimes you have to get cut, was the literal phrase. And get cut means sometimes what's keeping you from your next level of greatness is something that's literally or physically weighing you down or mentally weighing you down, and you have to cut it away. And that cut hurts. And this is where we get to, again, from a societal standpoint, is we act like days don't hurt. We act like things that don't happen the way we want them to happen or envision them to happen don't hurt. That shit hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. But I would rather be hurt from the pain of a cut that's going to grow me than hurt from the regret of being weighed down and not reaching my next level of greatness.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That next level of greatness to a lot of people is uncertain and unclear. And most people would also rather stay in a place of comfort. I would rather be comfortable in certainty than uncomfortable in uncertainty.
Yeah. Say that again. Say that again.
I would rather be comfortable in certainty. I know what's going to happen. I'm at nothing, but I'm comfortable, than to be uncomfortable in uncertainty where I don't know what's going to happen. But I also, I don't like the way this feels. So, it's the whole what's through that door thing. Yeah. What's through that door could be the best thing in the world or the thing that's going to take you to the next level, or it could be nothing.
Yeah, you say I love. You and I are connected with this thought. We both love phrases. I love words. I love little phrases. I love it. I like how things kind of resonate with me. But you said this, so I want people to really lock in on this. To use the locked in phrase again, the next level of greatness.
Oh yeah.
So I want people to think about this. Yeah. Because this is how that phrase, everything you just said has hit me. That really hit me. Yeah. Because right when you said that, this is what I thought about. The next level of greatness, that mindset, that implies to me that the level I'm currently on is great.
Absolutely.
That's how I took that.
Absolutely.
I say, hey, shit, George, the next level of greatness for you is going to be X, Y, and Z. And yes, you went through some problems and you let some people down, blah, 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 blah. The biggest opportunity is against that biggest problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is my current biggest problem. It's not a huge problem. It's not nothing that's going to, hurt me or cause me, it's not going to cause all these big problems, right? But it's my current biggest problem, which is fine, right? But that opportunity, that refinement that I will have in my life to become better gets me to the next level of greatness, meaning the current level I'm on is great.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't it be?
You phrase that a certain way. Listen, I'm telling you, the way you phrase that mindset, people listening, if you have that mindset that you are currently on a level of greatness, you are currently doing great things. You are currently moving in the right direction. The plateau that you are on, the step that you are on right now is great. As opposed to, shit, I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I haven't done anything, I'm not impacting anything, I'm sitting in my cubicle writing the same BS code that I've been writing. No, you are on a level of greatness. These problems, these issues, these conversations, these relationships. Was January 15th of this year, was your relationship with your lady great?
It was.
March 1st, once you got through February, were you on another level of greatness?
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think that's impactful, man.
It is. Right? But it's how you choose. It's a mindset, George, and that's what I'm saying. If we can this is a mindset that I have had developed and cultivated through athletics. But you talk about, and I hope I'm not throwing too much out there, but you're talking about, what would you say, the athletics of
software.
Of software. Like, imagine if we can take your typical, I don't even want to say typical, but imagine if we could take your software developer, designer, your tech person who has had no interest in athletics, didn't play sports, not interested in sports, not good at sports. But imagine if we could take that person and put my athletic brain into that person. Mm-hmm. So I got mine through athletics. Because they didn't play sports, they didn't get it through athletics, but now they're getting everything that I got through athletics. Like, imagine if you got that mindset of, I'm already great. Mm. And now here's the big thing, and I get this from my dear friend Leslie Peters. She says, life is a quest, not a test. Mm. Life is a quest, not a test. So when you take that, if you think life is a test, which is what life tells us this is. I know you got to go in a second too.
No, you go back.
You got school that gives us information to grade us. And those grades will determine our promotions.
Yeah.
That is a test. And if you don't pass those tests, then you don't get the grade to get promoted. And you actually get demoted.
Yep.
We take that mentality, give us that for 12 years of our life. and then they send us out into the workforce. But if you can formulate the mentality that life is a quest, when you hear the word quest, what's the synonym that comes to mind?
Journey.
Absolutely, without a doubt, journey. So when you look at life as a quest instead of a test, I'm not looking for grades and scores and accomplishments and satisfying. I'm looking at it like, well, okay, cool. And so when you look at life as a journey or a quest, you can understand that taking a step back is not a negative step. It's just a step in the journey.
Right.
And I use the analogy of driving. I'm driving down 40 the other day, and I have a truck that is going 60 miles per hour to my direct left, but I also have a car in front of me that's going 62. They're basically right next to each other. There's nothing I can do. So what do I have to do? I have to slow down to create enough space for me to get over enough so I can go past both of them. If I look at life as a test, then I look at that slowdown or that step backwards as a negative. If I look at life as a journey, that slowdown was just a part of the process that allowed me to get to where I want to go.
It's a good metaphor, man. That is. It is. That's really a good metaphor. I like it.
You know, so yeah, life is a quest. And so when you look at it as a quest, it's a journey. So taking a step backwards is cool. That's just a part of the process. A step back is, I used to tell myself when I was thinking about moving back to Atlanta, I used to tell myself that a move back to Atlanta is not a step back in my life. Because so many people will be like, oh, I don't want to move to Atlanta. I already live there. Well, a move back is not a step back. And that's how we have to look at life.
Hey, put that on a shirt. A move back is not a step back.
Yes.
Right? I mean, put it on a shirt.
Yes.
Yes. You wrote it down, didn't you?
I am. I am.
Now, you said that one, so I don't get any kickback on that, but I did make you write it down. Listen, we've got to have that mindset that the biggest opportunities, and I like this word, and I think I stole it from you. Put this on a shirt. I really like the phrase refinement.
Oh, yeah.
I really love that phrase, that word, right? Yeah. Self-refinement of just being able to look at it like, listen, I let some people down this past week. I let myself down. More so, I let other people down. And it really irritates me because I'm better than that. I lost sight of my purpose. But, man, that self-refinement's good. Because I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be very vulnerable with all this. I let somebody down. That sucks. There's nothing I can do to fix it, and I don't want to forget it. I want to do self-refinement. I'm going to do the self-refinement because of this. The impact I'm going to have on other people because of that refinement is going to be substantial. Does that make sense? Like I'm saying this out loud to myself. Like, hey, that's some good, that's some good shit, George. Yeah. Like, that's some good stuff, right? I messed up. That
is it. It is you at least twice that I know, and maybe even 3 times on this episode have used the word vulnerability. And I don't know whether that's something that I'm drawing out of you, my energy is drawing out of you, but that is it. And it is the situation that I went through with my lady. I messed up. I threw my hand up. I messed up, and my mess up hurt her and let her down. Whether or not she forgives me, which she ultimately has, and we decide that we can move on, whether or not that happens or not, I was going to be better because of that, because I was going to realize that, I don't want to do that no more. And so it had to happen. That cut had to happen.
Yeah.
And it had to happen. I wrote this in one of my blogs a couple weeks ago when I called it The Truth About Men, but it's really the truth about me. Like, that cut had to happen when it happened, and probably even how it happened, because if it wouldn't have happened, it would have continued to happen.
Yeah.
And if it would have continued to happen, then I would have continued to be okay with it or make some kind of justification for it to say, it's okay, or it's something I've always done or whatever. No. And moving with purpose, going back to our last episode, moving with purpose allows me and anybody else to be able to make those decisions. You are going to be a better person to someone else because of your last 2 weeks.
There it is right there. That's it. That really is it. Hey, put this on. I don't know the log that you're putting off for your clothing brand here. But I really like self-refinement opportunity. Hey, just refine. This is a refinement opportunity. Like sharpen the saw, right? Yeah. Just get things better and be better for the next person, right? Yeah. NBA. This is a Coach Meyer thing. Next best action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next best action.
Yeah.
Listen, I said there were 3 things I kind of wanted to say. And we don't have time to hit all 3 of them, which is fine because we'll save them for other episodes. I really like that idea of the refinement. I really like this. I like this idea. The biggest opportunities for us are against our biggest problems.
Yeah.
And those opportunities are for us to refine ourselves, for ourselves to get better. And this is maybe not going to make any sense at all, but this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking sandpaper's really rough. And if you rub a 2x4 up against enough sandpaper, it gets really smooth.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it just, you know what I mean? I need to rub myself up, and I'm not saying purposefully go let people down or anything like that, but I need to look at these problems as just sandpaper, and I'm going to rub myself up against them. I'm going to create some of this. I'm going to create opportunity. I'm not going to go create opportunities where I let people down, but I'm going to rub up against so I can smooth myself out, man. I'm going to smooth myself out and figure out
how.
Think
about this, George. Everyone loves a smooth surface, but no one likes sandpaper.
I like that, man. Put that on a shirt, brother.
You know, everyone loves a diamond.
Yep.
But not everyone likes clams, or I guess that's an oyster or pearl.
Oyster, right?
Oyster and pearl, or diamond. Everybody likes a diamond, but nobody likes coal.
Right.
You know,
here's a better one. I like this, and I'm stealing this from you. Diamonds are made by pressure.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. Everybody wants a diamond, but nobody wants the pressure.
Nobody wants the pressure. My coach used to tell me pressure does 2 things. Pressure busts pipes, and it also makes diamonds.
I can go on and on, man. Hey, listen, Jay, I do think one of the best things you can tell somebody is that you love them. JaYson, I have a love for you, and what you've done for me is great. I also think one of the best things you can, and I know that's goofy to say in the professional world. So this is what I say in the professional world. I say this to clients. I say it to the person I report to. I say it to people that are on our team, and I believe it, is I appreciate you. I think that's the next best thing you can say is how much you appreciate people. JaYson is showing us his board.
Can you see the blue? Can you see the blue word at the top?
And love, service, sacrifice, and what?
No, just love.
Love.
So you say it's a quirky thing to say in the business world, and my question to you would be why?
Why? I agree.
Why can't? And so I define love as a commitment to someone else's well-being.
Say it again.
Love is a commitment to someone else's well-being. So why can't we talk about love in the workplace when if I'm a CEO and I am committed to my employees' well-being, I love them.
Mm.
If I am an employee and I am committed to my CEO's well-being, I love him or her. So why can't we have that? Society, we've created this environment where we can't use the word love in the workplace. If I'm the CEO, if I'm John Lucas, I want to say, come get my job.
Yep. I used that this week. I used it this week with a client. I did. I used it this week with a client. Hey, I've got 20 thoughts going through my head, and I know it could be 20 hours. So there's obviously no shortage of content. And I'm not going to throw out what I heard. But I was listening to Kevin Eastman this week, and Coach Jay knows who Kevin Eastman is. And he had some amazing things to say along those lines that I want to get into on our next episode. It's about respect and versus being liked and things of that nature. So trust, respect, trust, and being liked. And there's some good ideas around that. Listen, everybody, reach out to JaYson on LinkedIn. And listen, everybody that is listening to this podcast, we're 30 or 40 minutes in. You are doing yourself a disservice if you are not connected with JaYson on LinkedIn and how you can reach out to him, right? Somebody said you are doing people a disservice if you have something that will help them in their life. I'm not getting this correct. Like if you have a product that you think betters somebody else, you are doing them a disservice by not trying to sell it to them. So selling is not a bad thing, right? And my suggestion is this: JaYson can help you, your teams, your business, and you are doing yourself a disservice if you are not connected with him. You just are. I don't know how else to say that. So everybody listening, go reach out to JaYson, connect with him on LinkedIn, send him a message that you have been listening to him on Out from the Cube, and start that connection and figure out how he can impact you, your company, your team, and even you personally. Because I'm telling you right now, I've been with JaYson for 3 years, and it's as important a relationship that I have in my life. And I don't say that with any hyperbole or say it just to say it. My relationship with JaYson is as important a relationship to me that I have in my life. That exclamation point. That's what it means to me, because I know I know who he is, what he stands for, his purpose, and I know how that inspires me to live a more purposeful life. And I mean that. I appreciate you, JaYson. Let me circle back to that. I appreciate you.
Back at you.
So listen, everybody get out of your cubicle, reach out to JaYson, reach out to me, and listen, it's our WhY Wednesday. And I hope that you all have a great rest of the week. I hope that you are aligned with what you're doing and your purpose, and reach out to us if there is anything we can do to help you do that. JaYson, have a great rest of the week, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. You too.